The hit CW show Arrow turns 10 this year. Since my life is filled with nothing better than reminiscing over old shows and shoving tater tots down my face, I thought, let's take a look back to one of my all-time favorite shows. Since I'm also not a madman, I thought we would take a look at the pilot episode and avoid the other 169 episodes.
I know that it's too late to say this, but I'm sorry.
So, after 10 years, does the pilot hold up to what would eventually become the infamous Arrowverse? Let's find out.
Part is this way.
Arrow was developed by Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Andrew Kreisberg and is loosely based on the famed DC Comics character Green Arrow. The idea was originally pitched during the 6th season of Smallville, with Justin Hartley, the Green Arrow in the Smallville universe, tasked to the series.
Unfortunately for me,
Hartley refused to entertain the idea, saying he didn't wish to steal the spotlight or engage on any talk of a spin-off after such few appearances. A spin-off series featuring the Justice League with Oliver Queen leading did go into early development with Stephen S. DeKnight tasked to lead. However, he would decline to go on to showrun the first season of Daredevil. Smallville's pilot director David Nutter would direct the pilot for Arrow, with the show debuting at 4.14 million viewers and a Metacritic score of 73, the highest for the network in 5 years. The pilot would center on Oliver Queen, billionaire trust fund kid being found on an island, Lian Yu.
Survive. Survive and one day return home.
Queen, who spent 5 years on the island, would return a much different person and embody the new alias of Green Arrow.
20% of his body's covered in scar tissue. Second-degree burns on his back and arms. X-rays show at least 12 fractures that never properly healed.
Right off the bat, the Arrow pilot steamrolls with a brisk pace that never once feels an ounce boring. While the Smallville pilot never felt boring either, it did hinge a decent amount on the Freak of the Week or the Wall of the Weird. While it tried to feel integral to the plot, it lacked the emotional pull for me. Here, Oliver Queen returns home to Starling City with an emotional request from his deceased father to retake the city from the villainous mobsters, businessmen, and politicians that run it. Each episode early on focuses on Oliver going after each name written down meticulously by his father in this book. The big difference early on against Smallville was Oliver Queen's violent tactics and willingness to kill. Arrow was one of my favorite shows when it debuted. I will always feel a strong connection to the show as it was the one I watched religiously with Pop Tot and was one of the last shows I watched the night it would come on. The first few seasons of Arrow were excellent and not in an ironic way. The show managed to make Oliver Queen a dynamic character, constantly balancing the familiar Bruce Wayne playboy antics with this masked Avenger. His want to change the city for good by using violent force and rhetoric was the antithesis of being a hero, and yet that is what made the character of Ollie so damn appealing.
Because I wanted to. What? I wanted to. I wanted to! And I liked it!
A lot of this is in part to Oliver Queen actor Stephen Amell. Amell throughout the Arrowverse as well as Smallville is by far the best dramatic actor, and that felt beyond obvious in the pilot episode. He oozes charisma, charm, and a playboy deviousness about him, yet he feels entirely betrayed by emotion and a rawness that felt like a damaged man. The strength of Arrow, in my opinion, always rested in Oliver Queen, and when the show faltered, particularly season 4 and on, it had to do with Arrow's willingness to populate the script with every character in the DC universe. Eventually, they diluted Oliver Queen into a father superhero role when the show probably should have stopped a few seasons earlier.
It's time to stop!
The pilot's captivating nature is really in the surprisingly sharp dialogue.
Dude, you speak Russian?
I didn't realize you took Russian at college, Oliver.
I didn't realize you wanted to sleep with my mother, Walter.
Ability to stay away from clunky cornball moments, and its surprisingly violent action sequences. While I enjoyed the quieter moments in Smallville quite a bit, its action sequences in the pilot suffered mightily. Here, Amell's physicality is on full display, as well as his willingness to be topless. Man, I gotta stop eating these damn tater tots. Oh, you're killing me, Amell.
Oh, come on!
His chemistry with everyone in the cast is excellent, and that's something that continues throughout the show for quite a while.
I knew you were alive. I missed you so much.
You were with me the whole time.
This really shines the most with his interactions with Diggle and a season-long best friend, Tommy Merlin.
Funeral of Blue. You get lucky. Fish in a barrel.
Of course, the relationship with Diggle is pretty historic and leads to some knockout, drag-out battles.
Entire time, I put you in that hood, and you hid having a drug problem.
And I was putting my body through hell.
It's pretty great to see how it starts here. As for Tommy, I love the bromance the two have here.
I kept it in hopes that one day it would reconnect me with you.
Rock, that is sweet.
And I also really like how Tommy almost immediately knows that Queen is different.
If I were you, Tommy, I'd just be glad you're alive.
What happened to you on that island?
A lot.
However, when Arrow faltered is when those characters became watered-down versions of what they are in this pilot. Eventually, Arrow becomes victim of its own success, as it spawned numerous spin-offs and characters. After a while, Oliver became a small piece in a much larger pie.
No more. Where the fuck are your parents?
The hero's journey, in particularly the pilot, which is clearly misunderstood, is an effective kickoff point for an absolutely dazzling season.
Moira Queen, you have failed this city.
Season 1 would end with a brutal, heartbreaking moment for the character, and is by far one of my favorite TV comic book moments ever.
Tommy? It should have been me.
While Smallville had a few issues that I ignored or was semi-bothered by,
Boo, you suck.
Arrow for the most part shoots straight. Get it? It's an arrow? Whatever.
I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
I have a hard time saying a silly CW superhero show is unironically good, but even after 10 years, Arrow is still damn good, innovative, and action-packed. Returning to see all of my favorite characters in their younger form, with sprinkled hints of what is to come, felt like the ultimate nostalgia pie. If you haven't checked out Arrow in a while, or not at all, I highly recommend it.